Hello everyone, this is part 19 of What If Naruto Awakened New Skills, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Naruto opened the door and caught the board eraser aimed to hit his head before walking into the class and standing in front of Iruka's desk. He placed the eraser on it before looking at the class and spotting a bug-eyed Konohamaru amongst the rest of the shocked into silence kids and smirking Hanabi. Naruto grinned. Konohamaru, what have I told you about pulling pranks? All the other kids got ready to listen to Konohamaru getting told off. If you keep trying it like that you'll never hit anyone. Hell, the only person I've ever seen fall for that one was Kakashi Hatake, and that was only because he had his head buried in that damn book of his. Now then, down to business, said Naruto. He then waited a few moments whilst the class settled down. The Chunin that had come in with him was amazed at his control over the class. He already had them ready to listen to him and he'd only just walked in. The class finally settled down and Naruto continued. Now then, for the next 3 months there are going to be some changes to the class. Half of you will be coming with me to trial a new system while the other half will be taught the normal way. Immediately the class broke out with kids trying to vie for attention to get into Naruto's group. Naruto just held up his hand and waited for them to quiet down, which they quickly did, again surprising the Chunin. I've already looked over the class list and know who I'm going to take. Now then, at the end of this year you will not receive the standard test. Instead you will each be sorted for a sensei and they will give you their own test to see if you will become full genin, he explained, and again waited for the chatter to calm down. The Chunin was astounded. This kid held more sway over an academy class than he had ever heard possible, and he did it like it was nothing. Now then, the other thing I need to tell you, for those that are not with me, Iruka sensei has fallen ill and will be unable to teach you for the next month. In the meantime this Chunin will be your teacher. Go ahead and introduce yourself, said Naruto, turning to the Chunin. He carefully stepped forward and cleared his tea. Hello class, my name is Kikin, said the now identified Chunin. Now then, the people I've selected to teach her. Naruto then reeled off a list of 15 names, surprising many because other than the top 2 members of the class and 3 in the middle, the rest all had the lowest scores in the class. Again the Chunin found him to be very strange. Why select a group that consisted almost solely of the lowest members of the class when surely if you had the option you would be far better off choosing the top of the class, particularly for a trail system. Hokage Tower, Minato and the Fire Daimyo. Do you have any idea why Naruto picked the bottom 10 pupils in the class? Asked the Daimyo. Minato smiled. To prove a point, replied Minato, getting a confused look from the Daimyo. Please expand, Minato, said the Daimyo. If Naruto chose the top 15 of the class, they would already have a high likelihood of not only passing the test but being on a team that would be able to pass the test their sensei would give them. By choosing a group that are likely to fail to begin with, he makes more of a point when a higher number successfully pass the test from his group than the group taught the normal way, explained Minato. Alright then Minato, I'll make you a deal and a bet. The deal is for each of the class Naruto teaches that's able to pass the test will increase the budget by 15%. The bet is that I don't think 2 of the 4 teams he's teaching will pass. If you win I'll give you any other budget increase you want. Lose and I'll make a budget C in a non-essential area to compensate the one the academy will get. You in? Asked the Daimyo. I'll take that bet and the deal. I would be willing to bet all 4 teams he's teaching will pass, and if 3 out of the 4 teams pass we both lose the bet, so no additional increase and no decrease. Agreed, replied Minato, holding out his hand. Agreed, said the Daimyo, taking Minato's hand and shaking it to seal the deal. Naruto led his half of the class to a secluded training area so that he could begin teaching and training them how he thought was best. He stopped in the center of the training ground and turned to the group. Alright, now I need you to form a line because I'm going to give you a little test. When it's your turn I want you to make as many bushin as you can and I'll put you into one of 3 groups for the next test. Group 1, Group 2 or Group 3. Any questions? Said Naruto. Konohamaru raised his hand and Naruto nodded for him to ask. Boss, what's the purpose of this test? He asked. You'll find out when it's done, replied Naruto. The group then quickly formed a line and the first one stepped forward. He put his hands together and created 6 bushin. Group 2 feet, said Naruto, pointing to an area of the training ground. The boy moved over to the area and waited. Next was a girl. She put her hands together and created 5 bushin. Group 2 feet, said Naruto. The girl went to the same place as the boy and the next one moved forward. Also a girl. This one created 3 bushin. Group 1 foot, said Naruto, pointing to the left of the first group. The next one was a boy who looked almost like a smaller version of Choji except he had black hair. He created 10 clones. Naruto nodded. About what I'd expect from an Akamaki. Group 3 feet, he said, pointing to an area to the right of Group 2. The boy moved across after giving Naruto a surprised look when he said about him being an Akamaki. Next up was a girl that bore a striking resemblance to Shikamaru except with longer hair. She put her hands together and created 2 clones. No surprise there, Unaris never have had much chakra. Group 1 foot, said Naruto, again surprising the child. She quickly moved to the group and Mogi moved forwards, put her hands together and created 5 bushin. I'm impressed. I didn't think you had that much chakra, Mogi. Group 2 feet, said Naruto, earning a blush and a smile from the young girl. Next was Udon. Boss, I'm a Group 1 foot, he said, surprising Naruto a little, not that he showed it. What makes you so sure of that? Asked Naruto. So far you've put those with 5 or more in Group 2, 10 or more in Group 3 and less than 5 in Group 1. I can make 4 feet, explained the boy. I should have known he would figure it out. He's got brains to match Nara, thought Naruto. Okay. Group 1 foot, he said. Udon moved over to the group and Hanabi stepped up next, put her hands together and created 7 clones. Naruto frowned. Hanabi, I said make as many as you can. I know you have enough chakra to make at least 15. I can feel it. Now make as many as you can, said Naruto sternly. The rest of the class quickly realized that he wasn't as weak as their normal teachers. Hanabi put her hands together again and created 18 clones. Naruto smiled. That's more like it. Group 3 feet, he said. Hanabi moved over to the group and the next one stepped forwards. The boy put his hands together and created 12 clones. Good. Group 3 feet, said Naruto. Another boy moved forwards after the last had moved out of the way and stood looking a little embarrassed. What's wrong? Asked Naruto. I can't make bushin, said the boy very quietly, but Naruto still heard it. What's your name? Asked Naruto. Nijime Kawari, replied the boy, his voice still quiet. Are the last of the class? This is probably why. I'll bet he's got the same problem as me, thought Naruto. Just try. I have a feeling you'll be surprised. Just make as many as you can, said Naruto. The boy nodded and put his hands together. He created 32 clones, surprising the rest of the class. Just as I thought, you have the same problem I had with it, too much chakra. You can't mold it correctly to make just 2 or 3 clones, but you're fine in large numbers. Group 3 feet, said Naruto. The boy was now smiling broadly as he practically skipped over to the group. The next was a girl. She put her hands together and created 5 clones, though the 5th was a little unstable. Close but not quite. Group 1 foot, said Naruto. Next was another girl. She moved forwards, put her hands together and created 2 clones. Group 1 foot, the girl moved over to the group and Konohamaru stepped forwards, put his hands together, created 19 stable clones and 20th unstable and then fell over. Not bad, Konohamaru, but don't overtax yourself so much. 19 would have been fine. Group 3 feet, said Naruto after he caught the boy. He then created a shadow clone and it carried Konohamaru over to the group so that he could rest. Next was a girl wearing a large red jacket and large sunglasses. Kikai on your left, regular on your right, please, said Naruto. The girl simply nodded before creating 2 clones on her left and 3 on her right. Naruto nodded. I think Group 2 will be fine, said Naruto. Again the girl nodded and joined the group. The next was a feral-looking girl with a small brown puppy on her head, much the same as Kiba used to do with Akamaru. She put her hands together and created 8 clones. Not surprising from an Inuzuka, Kiba's techniques take up as much chakra as some of mine. Group 2 feet, said Naruto. It was at this point the rest of the clan children realized how he knew so much about them and their abilities. Finally the last of the group moved forwards. The boy had shoulder-length straight blonde hair. The Yamanaka, thought Naruto. The boy put his hands together and created 6 bushin, sort of. The last looked more like an after-image. It had color but was almost completely see-through. Group 2, now then the purpose of the test was to tell me exactly how much chakra each of you had to better understand why some of you were at the bottom of the class considering half a dozen of you are from clans and should really be near the top. the exception being the Nara, as you lot just can't be bothered to put the effort in, said Naruto before mumbling something about Shikamaru being a pain that the group didn't quite hear. Right, any questions before we continue? Asked Naruto. Several hands raised. Naruto pointed to the Nara girl. Would I be right in thinking you were in the same graduating class as Shikamaru Nara, Choji Akamaki, Ino Yamanaka, Kiba Inuzuka, Shino Aburame, Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruno, Hinata Hyuga and the famed Lightning Leaf, Naruto Namikaze? She asked. Actually it's Uzumaki Namikaze, I'm the youngest of both clans and proud to carry both names, he replied, causing the entire class bar Konohamaru, Mogi, Udon and Hanabi to go bug-eyed and slack-jawed. You mean you are the Lightning Leaf? Asked Neji. Naruto nodded in reply. For most of the class things were starting to make sense. For Neji they just got a whole world better. He'd heard how the Lightning Leaf had graduated at the bottom of his class and learned a forbidden technique to do so. Had taken his first C-rank mission less than 2 months later, which had turned into an A-rank mission. It was completed successfully and the town he'd helped save had regarded him as a hero. He had awakened his Kekkei Genkai a few weeks before the finals of his first Chunin exam, which was also the first one available to him, had defeated Gaara no Sabaku, then of Suna, a powerful Jinchuriki. From there he'd gone from strength to strength. He'd defeated Orochimaru whilst away to bring back Suna to be the 5th Hokage. Only to return and find the 4th had returned, which many rumors gave him a hand in. Had been promoted to the newly created rank of Jokyu Jonin, which left him answerable only to the Hokage and Fire Daimyo. At the end of his first Chunin exam, his first true A-rank mission had been to secure a peace treaty with Kumo, which he had completed successfully, with all aspects of the treaty going in Konoha's favor, and the latest rumors pegged him as having come back from leading a team that defeated Akatsuki only hours ago, and he had been the one to K their leader. Next Hanabi raised her hand. What question do you have, Hanabi? Asked Naruto. I was wondering if you would be teaching us any techniques, since you know loads, even many you shouldn't. Asked the young Hyuga, remembering when he had branded her with the caged bird seal 2 years before. Naruto laughed. It's possible, but before I do I need to find the ones that are suitable for civilians to know in case any of you fail. Next question, you, said Naruto pointing to Neji. How did you pass the Genin test if you couldn't do Bushin? He asked, wanting to know more about his hero. Let me correct you there, I can't do Bushin, even now, he said before mumbling something that sounded like, stupid furball, before continuing. I learned a technique called the Shadow Clone Jutsu to pass, and before you ask, no, I can't teach it to you. If I had tried to make the maximum number of Bushin I could whilst at the academy, I would have been making well over 1,000. When I learned Shadow Clone Jutsu, which takes about 5 times the chakra that a normal Bushin does, I could already make over 100. I had more chakra and stamina than nearly all Jonin and Anbu. You would probably be the only person in the class able to make more than 1 Shadow Clone, and your limit would be about 3. Right, last question before I explain about the next test, you, he said pointing to a girl in the front of the second group. I thought I heard you say, stupid furball, when you explained how you passed. If you did, what did you mean by it? She asked. Naruto laughed again. I did, and as some of you know and others don't, I was once the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko. My experience with fellow former Jinchurikis has taught me one important thing. The only people ever likely to insult one of the tailed demons is the Jinchuriki they were sealed in, and really they are the only ones that should, since their lives are made a living hell through no fault of their own, explained Naruto. The members of the class that didn't know he had held the Kyuubi were shocked at the revelation. I bet it wasn't really that bad. Can't have been as bad as growing up without parents, said one foolish boy at the back of the class. Hanabi, Konohamaru, Mogi and Udon quickly closed their eyes, not wanting to watch as Naruto swiftly moved through the crowd of kids to the boy that made the comment and picked him up by the tee. Congratulations, you just got yourself a chance to experience being the victim of an attack on a Jinchuriki without parents that was hated by this entire village, said Naruto darkly. The boy's eyes went wide, and a couple of seconds later Naruto dropped the boy to the floor and returned to the front while the boy curled up in a ball muttering, I'm sorry, continuously. Let that be a lesson to all of you, no matter how bad you think your life may be. It is nothing compared to the life a Jinchuriki experiences. I was very lucky, I'm male, one of my friends wasn't so lucky. Once she hit the age of 10, along with all the beatings she took, she was also raped. Sometimes for days at a time. The people of this village were also fortunate that the seal holding Kyubi within me was very strong. The Jinchuriki of Suna, Gaara, wasn't sealed properly and became highly mentally unstable. The wrong look was enough to invite death by his sand. Remember this lesson well and pass it on to future generations. All Jinchuriki should be treated as the heroes they are, or they may end up destroying the very village they were supposed to be protecting, said Naruto darkly with his back to them. The group stayed silent, contemplating what Naruto had said before he turned back round and looked at the young Yamanaka boy. How good are you with your family jutsu? He asked. The boy looked a little taken back by the question before replying carefully. I can do them, but I'm not brilliant. Why? He asked cautiously. Could you close off most of the memories I just gave that idiot? Asked Naruto. No, the only two currently capable of that are my uncle Inoki and my cousin Ino, replied the boy. Typical, thought Naruto. He quickly created a shadow clone and it disappeared to find Ino, knowing Inoki would be busy with Obito. Fine, that one's gone to find Ino. Next is the second test. Each of you will climb a tree without using your hands. I'll show you how it's done. And Hanabi, he said, looking towards the young Hyuga and waiting to get her full attention before continuing. No cheating, your Byakugan stays off. Now watch me, he said firmly before walking up to a nearby tree and up it before hanging upside down on a branch before releasing his chakra and somersaulting in the air to land on his feet facing the three groups. Now then we'll start with group 1, then 2 and finish with group 3 and then probably have to wait for the class idiot to do it after Ino's finished, said Naruto. 20 minutes later Ino arrived with the clone and Naruto explained exactly what had happened, to which Ino replied she was almost tempted to just leave him as he was for his own stupidity, having had a training session with Naruto and had the opportunity to use her mind control on him only to quickly release it with the images his mind was filled with and knowing that even Sasuke finding his entire clan was nothing in comparison. After doing it she said she'd also left him with the knowledge that it was a very mild attack, which it had been. The class noticed a big change in the boy, having previously been quite arrogant with an attitude of, I don't know why I'm here and why I'm being rated so low because I can take care of myself, to a realization that in the grand scheme of life, never mind ninja life, he'd seen nothing. Nearly an hour later the class was finished. Excellent, now I know exactly what your chakra control is like. We have a few more tests left before we're done and then you can go home. First I want each of you to do as many laps of this training area as you can. Any questions? He asked. One girl raised her hand. Why do we have to do this? She asked. Naruto sighed. Because I need to know how much endurance each of you have. Now start running. The sooner you start, the sooner you finish. As soon as he said this, most of the group began running laps, leaving just the Nara girl who was doing a great impersonation of Shikamaru by lying on her back and staring at the clouds. Any particular reason you're not running? Asked Naruto. The girl propped herself up on her elbows to look at him before answering. It's too troublesome to run laps, she replied. Naruto laughed. Spoken like a true Nara, but comprehend this: if you don't do the running now, I can quite easily cause more problems for you later, and it's not hard for me to get the backing of Shikamaru to make sure you either don't pass if you carry on this way or end up doing what I tell you, he said. You can't fail me, you don't have the authority even with Shikamaru's backing, she said, lying back down. Shall we check that with the Hokage? But I don't think my father would like to be bothered with such trivial matters and would likely take it out on you for causing them, explained Naruto. The girl grudgingly lifted herself off the ground and began doing laps of the training ground, muttering about troublesome teachers with Hokages for parents. After about 2 hours, the last of the group, Neji, finally fell to the ground after running nearly 150 laps of the training ground. Naruto walked over, picked him and brought him back to the group as he had with all the others when they had done the same thing. Excellent, well done all of you. Now then, the next test is a spar to first be. This will tell me exactly how capable each of you, far better than the standard sparring matches. The first two to fall in the laps will go first in this since they have the most time to recover. The rules are simple: you fight until one of you starts to be, falls unconscious, or I stop the match. You can use anything you have available, bloodlines, weapons, the terrain and any extra jutsu you know. Understood? He asked. Getting nods all round, he called out the first two names. He watched the matches carefully and had to stop a couple of them, finding one particular student to know a fire technique and another to know a lightning technique, which really surprised him. Right now then that just leaves one more test, and this is the most important test of them all. I'm going to create a clone that for all intents and purposes is alive. It will then henge into a random person. It could look like your mother or father, or it could be a missing ninja from this or another village. I will then hand you a kunai and you must kei it, said Naruto. Immediately a clone appeared next to him and henged into Orochimaru. He called out a name and the girl came forward. He handed her a kunai and she walked up to the hanged clone. The young girl's hands shook as she brought the kunai in line with the clone's heart. Taking several deep breaths, she steeled herself and then thrust the kunai into its heart. Hearing its cry of pain, she let go of the kunai and watched the life drain from its eyes as it fell to the floor and before going up in a puff of smoke. Naruto started clapping and walked over to support the girl. Well done, SSSHHHH, SSS shush, SSS shush, it's okay, it's okay. He soothed the girl, holding her as she sobbed. After a few minutes she finally calmed down enough to return to the group, at which point Naruto turned and addressed them. This is exactly like making your first K. You can feel the warmth from these clones, you can hear, feel and even see them breathing. As I said before, they are, for all intents and purposes, alive. The first K you make is always the hardest. Normally you'd make it suddenly in combat and then freeze. Be thankful your first K is now and not out in the field in the middle of a mission. Now then on to the next person. Konohamaru, it's your turn, said Naruto, making another clone. This time it didn't henge, instead staying exactly like Naruto. As Konohamaru walked up to the clone, kunai in hand, he noticed it wasn't hanged. Naruto-sensei, the clone hasn't hanged yet. Do I still have to K it? He asked. Yes, this is the ultimate test, one that I pray none of you will ever face. Every so often a ninja will leave the village and you may be charged with tracking them down and K them. In many cases you will have never met that person before, but there is always the chance that person is someone close to you. As an example, take Sasuke Uchiha, a prime example. He bore witness to the end of his entire clan at the hands of his older brother. The mission he gave himself was to gain strength and then seek out and K Itachi. You will likely never face a situation such as this, but there is always the possibility one of you could end up a missing ninja. Regardless of the reason, and the rest of you will have to be able to K them. Konohamaru, you know what you need to do, said Naruto. Konohamaru nodded. He walked up to the clone and steeled his nerves as much as he could before thrusting the kunai into the clone's sea up to the hilt. After that point Naruto had a new respect for the boy. Despite becoming a wreck after he'd done it, he didn't blink when he pushed the kunai in, making sure his aim was straight and Lord Sarutobi, please take your grandson home and comfort him. I will come round later on and see him, said Naruto. Instantly the third Hokage was by his grandson's side and gently lifted him up. That was a harsh test, Naruto. Thank you for giving it to him, said the aged Sarutobi before disappearing to take the distraught child to the comfort of his home. Hanabi, you're next, said Naruto, again creating a clone which this time hanged into Neji. Hanabi stopped in her tracks, then slowly but surely steeled her resolve and taking the kunai in her hand she thrust it into her cousin's heart before collapsing to the ground. Shinju dear, can you take Hanabi back to the clan house and ask Neji to speak with her? Tell him what's happened because she's going to be saying sorry to him a lot, said Naruto as he started. Hinata appeared by his side. Okay, I'll see you later, said Hinata. She had known, as all the other members of the Konoha 12, as soon as Sasuke had the curse seal on him, that there was a chance he'd go rouge and they would be charged with bringing him back. They were all glad they had never had to, but nonetheless understood the importance of this test. Again and again the children stepped forwards to make their first K, many with members of their own clan. The Nara girl was as bad as Shikamaru. Knowing full well that it wasn't her cousin, she just chucked the kunai into the clone's sea and walked away, but Naruto had seen the look in her eyes. She knew enough, but the clone was still close enough to the real thing to take the edge of her first true J, which was all she would need to be able to make a K against a stranger in full-flowing combat. 3 members of the group, 2 girls and a boy, went up against henges of people Naruto had seen in other countries had been unable to come through, and when other members of the class started heckling them, Naruto quickly stamped it out. Now listen up and listen good, because this is very important. Not everyone is capable of K, and those 3 that haven't are even more important because they will make the best medic ninjas, and one day they could be the ones you have to entrust your life to, because few people can survive injuries the way I can. So when push comes to shove and you're injured in the middle of enemy territory hiding from enemy ninja, the only people that can save your life are the medics on your team, so do not insult them or I will end your ninja career before you even make Genin understand," said Naruto sternly. Finally they had all done the test and Naruto now knew how they would be trained. "Alright, the last thing I have for each of you is a special set of weights I created myself. Each of you will wear them at all times except when getting washed. You will even sleep in them. There is one for each arm, one for each leg and one for your C. They will start off weighing a total of 1/10 of your total body weight and gradually increase as you get used to them. Except for the 3 that were unable to K and the Aberame. The 3 that didn't J will wear weights that start at 1/8 of your total body weight and increase by larger amounts when you get used to them. As for you Chihiro, I've spent a lot of time with your cousin Shino developing weights specially suited for your clan. I'll send a clone with you tonight so that he can sort you out with a set. The rest of you will put them on now," he said, taking a scroll out of his pocket and unrolling it. "Sensei, why do we have to do this?" asked the Nara girl, Chigusa. "Because I intend for this group to be the best group to ever become Genin. You will never match the notoriety I have, but you won't be far behind. It will no longer be just the Uchiha and the Hyuga that have power in this village. My aim is to ensure that after your generation every single clan in Konoha will be a force to be reckoned with, and the great tree of Konoha will be a near indestructible force of power," explained Naruto as he unsealed the first set of weights. They appeared to be little more than a black vest and ankle and wrist warmers, but the group quickly learned they were anything but. They also noticed 3 red symbols on each item as Naruto handed them out to each member of the group. "Now then, to explain the 3 symbols you are no doubt wondering about. Each is a seal that has a specific use. One is a cleaning seal, one is a repair seal, and the last is a growth seal. The seals will activate by themselves when needed, so you don't need to know anything more about them. Now I'm going to give you a brief rundown on what you will learn while studying under me. First will be battlefield taijutsu, not the kind they teach in the academy. I'm talking something more akin to the Inuzuka style of if your opponent has an opening, hit it with anything you can. Second is endurance. Some of you, like Neji, have immense amounts of stamina whilst others like Chigusa have next to none. Then there is chakra control, which is where these two reverse. Chigusa's small stores give her excellent control, while ninjas make it near impossible for him to control it well enough for the simplest of jutsu. I have a means to change that. The fourth thing you will all learn is basic sealing. As you've seen by the scroll I used, it is far easier and it makes it a lot easier to travel on missions. Finally, you will be split into 2 groups. The 3 that fail to K will be taught medical ninjutsu and navigation. Your weapons training will be based on defending against weapons both with your own and whilst unarmed. The group that K will be taught some less basic defensive ninjutsu and K points. There are plenty of ways to K, from blunt force to an accurate hit. You will each be trained with kunai and shuriken, as well as learning the basic kata and stances for 12 further weapons, after which you will choose the 3 weapons that feel most comfortable to you. This is not about the weapons you think are the coolest, this is about the weapons that suit you best and could one day save your life, explained Naruto. He then looked round the group for any with questions before creating a clone to go home with Chihiro and dismissing them, telling them to meet him there at 8:30 the next morning. He then left himself for the Sarutobi estate. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.